You listened to the oral argument, so tell us what happened today.
Yeah, so we feel really good about how the oral argument went. It went for 5 hours, and so it's getting the attention and the importance that this issue deserves. It's a really important piece. What we felt about today is that they talked a lot about the reprioritization, which gets into the weeds a little bit about the net neutrality debate, but whether these companies should be telecommunications companies, which we all think that they should be from our side. And then also there was a lot of really interesting discussion around paid prioritization and around blocking and throttling, and an admission that this isn't something that those companies want to do. So from our side, we say, if you don't want to do it, then why do we have to repeal the rules?
So this case is called Mozilla versus FCC. So tell me why you guys are taking the lead here.
This is a really important issue to consumers. Like, this is a really important issue to ensure that we have an open web. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that it's not relevant to all the products on the web, but really this is about openness and transparency and availability and access to content, all content on the web. This is a consumer protection issue. And we want to see this continue for consumers to have all the access to all the content that they want all over the world. So this is an important issue for us.
Make this relevant to listeners, to viewers out there who might think that since Obama-era regulations have been overturned, not much has changed. Now, perhaps the new rules have never fully gone into effect. You can tell me, but what are the stakes right now?
Well, everyone's acting on their best behavior. Here we have a situation where nothing's really set in stone yet. And so, of course, we're not going to see the paid prioritization, the blocking of the throttling. We're seeing little bits and pieces being taken away. This isn't a change that happens overnight. But to make it real, just think about the notion, we have 50% of America that doesn't actually have choice with respect to ISPs. Now, what about if those ISPs just decided they only want to show one piece of content? What about minority views never being expressed? Small businesses never getting access to those consumers? These are all real issues that involve all of us.
So, Denelle, Matthew Berry, the FCC Chief of Staff, just put out a statement. I want to read it briefly here and maybe get your response. He said the U.S. Supreme Court has already affirmed the FCC's authority to classify broadband as a Title I information service. And after today's argument, we continue to believe that the judiciary will uphold the FCC's decision to return to that regulatory framework. Perhaps nothing surprising here, but what do you make of it?
So nothing surprising at all. That would be the position I would say if I was on their side. But listen, there's a deference that's allotted to the FCC with respect to the judgments that they make if they do their homework. And they didn't do their homework here with respect to their classification issues. They didn't actually demonstrate that there was a need for a change. So I disagree wholeheartedly with what this court is going to do, and I think we saw some of that being expressed today by the judges that are hearing the case.
So one of the things that we've seen over the last year and a half is states all around the country, I think 30 up till now, passing their own net neutrality regulations, state of California included. So what are the prospects here for the state laws? Do you anticipate Congress acting and maybe wiping all those rules off the books?
Well, there's certainly a lot of those things that can happen. There were preemption arguments made today with respect to some of these state issues. What we want to see is we want to win this case. We win this case and we repeal or we get rid of that and we go back to the 2015 order. That's where we should be. That's status quo. That's where the internet should be. And then hopefully we won't have to get into any of those debates.
Well, let me raise the other less hopeful scenario for you, that the FCC prevails. What is the way forward in that case?
Well, from our standpoint, we're going to keep fighting. I don't know exactly what that looks like. We hope to win this case. If we don't, Mozilla is in this for the long haul because we look at this from the consumer standpoint. I can assure you that the folks that are participating with us in this litigation, they're in it for the long haul too. So whatever it takes, we're going to fight for net neutrality.
Asking a divided Congress to address anything these days is maybe a long shot, but do you see this Congress acting on net neutrality?
We hear rumors that things like that might come up. I think that the only way that any legislation with respect to net neutrality is going to be valid is if it essentially aligns with the way the rules were set in 2015. So I don't know what that's going to look like. I think it would be hard to make that happen in this Congress. Again, I don't want to go there because I think that we'll win this litigation. So
the case is Mozilla versus FCC, but there are a lot of other parties here, some of whom we heard from today. Talk about the different interests aligning on both sides of this debate.
Well, that's the beautiful thing. We have 23 states attorneys general, we have public interest groups, and we have other companies along with us. It sort of shows you that this isn't an issue that should divide folks. It's an issue that should unite folks. We've constantly said time and time again, this isn't a partisan issue. This is actually an issue where we can all agree along the lines that that the internet is actually not. It's not a privilege. It's something that everybody uses. People use it to get jobs. They use it to get information about their family all over the world. So this is something that we need to protect. And so this is the wonderful thing about this case, is it unites all of us across the board.
So tell me more about this procedure. How long will it go on? What can we expect in the days ahead?
It's hard to know. I mean, the court has to make its decision. We look forward to seeing the court's order. Sometimes it can come out in a really short period of time. We want the court to spend the time that it needs on this. So oftentimes when you're dealing with litigation, it takes a long time for these things to happen.
Okay.